You want to qualify for Bloodlust. The draft has started. Vox Nihili enjoys first ban, first pick priority. I still don't see an iteration of reality where Zagara makes it through the first ban phase.
Probably not. Falstead banned out though. I mean, the global. I think Vox and Healy at this point is confident in their team fighting ability, and one of the things that Falstead gives you is the ability to reset fights. So if you're winning a fight and the enemy team has Falstead, it's like, nope, you gust them away. Like, oh well, I guess we were winning the fight, but now the fight's over. We can't re-engage. Very, very frustrating to deal with. And when you're confident in your team fighting ability, you never want that to happen. MVP Black for many months was famous for banning Falstad because they were like, we're confident that we can win any team fight that we start, and we don't want to give anyone any tools to reset those team fights.
You see these hover options from Nice?
I do. Nice is considering letting Zagara through on Sky Temple, a map where having a dominant bottom lane can literally decide the game because the team that wins the bottom shrine statistically wins the game.
An instant nail biter for this draft. I feel like Vox Nihili, they're taking a few seconds to process. Are we really getting Zagara? Like, they probably had so many different things planned on the assumption that Zagara was going to get banned out, that having this option available is like, all right, like, do we change our plan? They're going to go for Murden. With the ETC ban, I like this idea a lot, but Johanna's a viable solo warrior, so still leaving Zagara out there to try to box them out of a warrior.
I mean, Tyrael available as well. I don't... Are we going to see Zagara not only go through the ban phase and the first pick, but get second or even third picked here? Is there a gentleman's agreement? Did I miss chat and be like, guys, Zagara's getting nerfed on Tuesday. We know she's overpowered. Why don't we make the draft more interesting? We'll just, with gentleman's agreement, no one pick or ban Zag.
Is this the real life? I mean,
they're gonna lock in Thrall. Thrall Li Ming is very strong. Li Ming, especially on Sky Temple, is very strong with her poke around the shrines. Nara picked up potentially here.
It's got to be gentleman's agreement, right?
Yeah, there's no way. Like, there's no way.
I don't see any communication in the lobby to that effect.
Maybe it all happened in whispers. Maybe it was a gentleman's agreement between the captains. Because even like ignoring how strong Ma can be, ignoring how strong a solo laner Zagara can be, every structure matters on Sky Temple. And when you have a hero with a global as strong as Nidus Worm that can constantly push in your lanes and do damage to your structures, increasing the value of every single objective that you get, and just slowly grind out the map with a stranglehold on your structures. How do you let that go? How do you be like, no, it's fine. It's fine. We're okay with that.
I'm just sitting there slowly bobbing my head to all this in absolute agreement because I don't understand. Outside of a gentleman's agreement, I mean, no Zagara pick in 2016, lol, Eligiggle. And they're going to lock in Rhaegar. Like, this is unheard of.
This does leave them very flexible for their last two picks. They have their tank, they have their support, they have their sustained damage, and their ranged. Nice. Well, no, we know Nice isn't going to ban Zagara because they have Thrall and the potential to pick up Zagara themselves. So at this point, I think they probably want to limit the bruiser pool a little bit. They already have Thrall, they already have their bruiser. They're not going to do anything else in that regard. They're thinking about banning out the Greymane. Greymane occasionally does get played as a bruiser, but Kerrigan, I think Kerrigan would actually be a much better ban in this case. Greymane usually needs a secondary support to play as a bruiser, particularly an Abathur or a Tassadar. Abathur actually quite good on this map as well, so that's going to be something to consider. What? Does Nice just not have a Zagara player? Is that... Because if they ban it, they can't pick it. Okay. So we're still not going to see Zagara played.
I mean, the mind games going on here, it has to be going over my head. I'm assuming these teams know each other enough now to where these bans in these pick orders mean something more than I'm immediately grasping. Because if I know if Zagara goes this far into the draft at all, I'm surprised. But if I'm getting 2 picks coming out of the second ban phase, I'm not banning Zagara. We'll see.
Maybe. I don't know. Brightwing banned out again by Vox and Nihili, denying the global. They don't want anything to exist that can get a sneaky lead. They want to beat Vox, or Vox and Nihili wants to beat Nice straight up in team fights. They are drafting for that. There's no sneaky global soak potential. No way of getting ahead in the structure advantage. It's just if we win the team fights, we win the game. Vox is okay with that dynamic. Nice picking up Ariel and Johanna. It's something we've seen, actually saw quite a bit from Red Team yesterday. Johanna, wave clear plus Ariel, wave clear, clears waves basically instantly, and you can start to get a rotation going. Although it is a little bit more difficult on Sky Temple. The distance between lanes is quite a bit bigger.
I mean, interesting choice of priorities here, because with ETC banned, Murden picked up, I would be worried about giving Ariel Brightwing up as well, but I feel like a Johanna ban for the Vox Nihili could have created an interesting draft. We are going to see the double warrior front line for Vox Nihili, and I feel like they'd be best served rounding their comp out with Tyrael. I mean, with Tychus.
I mean, they have so many options at this point. Arthas and Nara has incredible synergy. Murden is so good at rotational ganks. Arthas is actually a quite strong solo winner. Rhaegar has, jungling potential, which is something that gets ignored a lot. One of the reasons he's one of the dominant sports isn't just that his kit is very strong in terms of the dealing with the burst meta that is very prevalent in HOTS, but he can actually be active on the map, do things by himself if necessary. And Sylvanas picked up by Vox. So now not only do they in some way have a really strong team fight, they also have the potential to just, if they get a win at all, they can push in a lane and get an advantage. But they have no burst damage. They have no mage. And if Tychus gets locked in here for Nice, Arthas is just going to melt. He has no mobility of any kind. If you can lock down an Arthas even for 2 or 3 seconds and Tychus is on top of him, that is a dead Arthas.
They do lock in the Tychus, so that immediately becomes a threat. The only reason why I would imagine Vox Nihili did not want Tychus in this iteration is because Johanna's blind and potentially blinding Flash at 13 would have taken a lot of their damage away, since everybody would have effectively been reliant on auto attack damage. But I don't know, like, Sylvanas isn't really like we're worried about blind, so let's take Sylvanas. Not really. I mean, she offers a lot. Every structure you can get on your own in Sky Temple only makes the temples that much more valuable for you. But giving them Tychus could hurt, man.
Indeed, and this is a draft that we usually would not see in NA. Like straight up, we would usually not see this draft in NA. But Vox and Nihili, I know, watches other metas. They watch the Chinese meta, where Sylvanas is very popular in Sky Temple. They watch EU meta, where Arthas is always very highly contested as a pick. And when you have that understanding from other metas, you see how different things work. Again, it increases the depth of your experience. We saw it in their last set as well. And I don't think Nice is 100% ready to deal with Sylvanas on Sky Temple.
We're gonna find. I'm liking to agree, based on the merits of their composition. But I don't know, man. I'm worried about that Tychus pickup for Vox Nihili personally, because I would imagine the bigger they are would be picked up for Tychus at level 4, and that just puts you on such a short timer for you to go out there. It's just like, hey, I'm gonna be the front line. I'm the bruiser. I'm a Larucci. Here I come, and it's like, where's 60% of your health? It's in my hero damage stat bar now. It's not over your head. And Li Ming has burst damage, if you didn't know. I just see a possibility where Vox Nihili's front line folds in on itself under the weight of a minigun and Li Ming's burst. We'll see, though. We're loading into the game now. Who do you think has the stronger composition, then?
I think Vox has a stronger competition based on the map. I think that they're going to play their comp extremely well, get a lot of value out of that Sylvanas in the early game. And the only notable advantage in my mind is that Johanna, Ariel, Tychus Thrall and Li Ming all have decent, wave clear. But the only one who's lacking decent wave clear for Vox is Muradin, and Muradin doesn't want to be clearing waves. He wants to be sitting in bushes, waiting, catch people out of position, get the gank, and if you kill someone, then their wave clear doesn't matter. And Muradin's going to be trying to do that all game long. So I got to give it to Vox just by a hair. Just by a hair.
All right, I can understand the reasoning behind that. We'll see though. Game 1, the team that wins this set qualifies for Bloodlust, the main event. On the left side, we got Sylvanas being played by Goat. Zeus is playing Muradin. Hosty is on Lunara. Daiu's on Arthas. And Yoda playing Rhaegar.
And for Nice, we have Seikuk on Li Ming, Legend on Thrall, LZ Gamer on Tychus, Elheim on Ariel, and Asterbroth on Johanna.
Now, Cavalier, we've seen Team Nice earlier this week. They are no slouches. I anticipate us seeing a very high skill-capped game from both of these teams. Daiu considering going for the vision for a moment before committing to going in there. Vox Nihili, even with Sylvanas, this is the first time they haven't just tried the full YOLO like one of the towers. Bit of a break for them.
You can see the mind games right here, right? If everyone had been top, if they'd seen them for the vision, they would have immediately gone in on it with the Sylvanas bottom. But because they stayed hidden, because they spread out, they didn't know where they were. Once they saw them revealed mid, they decided to go for it. But it turns out Tychus was behind the wall and immediately pops it straight, chunks so many people so low, and they're forced to back out. And it's the first time all day that Vox Nihili has not immediately gotten a tower for free, although they do get some damage on it.
See, I'm wondering how Nice's sets have gone leading up to this point, because if they've been able to effectively steamroll their team, their enemies as well, it creates an interesting situation, because if you're playing, like, you almost automatically end up playing more casually if you just, like, win these team fights outright. Like, you're somewhat lax no matter how disciplined you try to be. So I'm wondering if there's going to be something of a shock for Vox Nihili, where it's like, oh, we've been, like, running over these team fights, but oh no, now we're up against a team that can, like, do that, like, they're on our level. So we're going to see a different angle to how they approach that sort of thing, I think.
We'll have to see. So far, Nice not responding well to the 1-1-3. They did lose that bottom tower, and both teams rotating up, not leaving anyone in the bottom lane. They're going to contest middle temple. Arthas, this is again one of those advantages of heroes like Arthas with the self-sustain, can solo temples on their own. And this is going to be a brutal brawl in mid, 4v4. Hosty taking so much damage from Seikuk's orb there. A lot of damage going down. They have tap available. They are going to tap and come back in. Thrall dueling Arthas for the top temple. But Daiu with that block is going to be able to hold that against Thrall for a long time.
The Thrall Arthas one-on-one matchup is one of the most interesting in the game for me right now, in my opinion. I think it's just a very skill-dependent matchup. Even after hitting the well, Vox Nihili gets forced off of the mid-temple, really speaking to the poke potential that Nice has. And something that I've noticed, Vox Nihili seemingly struggles against Li Ming in general, because Aloe was Li Ming last set, and they were doing all kinds of poke damage. I feel like it's going to be up to Muradin and Arthas to get in her face and really try to limit the damage of those orbs.
Yeah, and so far they've not been doing that. Those orbs have consistently been hitting the backline, and with Triumvirate, that's going to be an even bigger factor. Daiu gets the Containment Strike into the corner. Arthas going down. The front line starts to melt, and they're forced to back out. They were behind in experience when this temple phase started, and now they're ahead off of the rotations, off of the dominance they had on the temple fights, and the Tychus is doing so much work for Nice. Just immediately chunking out the tanks, forcing them to disengage. And when you don't have a front line anymore, the whole team has to leave.
Yeah, I mean, I was concerned for that. At level 4, though, Tychus went for In the Rhythm. So that's actually something of a positive thing, in a way, for Vox Nihili, because the bigger they are will just only further hasten their front line getting melted. Both teams are level 6. Bruiser Camp picked up early by Vox Nihili. I'm wondering if this is a sign of them being rattled or if they just have something else in mind.
I wonder if Nice picks up In the Rhythm here because they're going for the sustain thing. We do see the reset on long-range hit with at 4 for Li Ming. They're trying to draw these fights out for a long time, which gives Ariel's ability to sustain fights an advantage over that time. And there's a relatively low damage comp in terms of burstiness coming out from Vox. So if they can get the value of In the Rhythm plus that's the stuff at 13, they will eventually grind out the fights. And with double frontline, particularly with Arthas in the mix, it's going to be very easy to stack up that quest.
That's a really good point. I didn't really think about that. That's why you're the Socrates Heroes of the Storm. Both teams are level 7. They have Barb Shot, Iron Forge Momentum, Splintered Spear, so no added siege potential there. Icebound Fortitude, nice. Cleanse. One thing that will play a factor in this game, I feel, is the lack of cleanse. There's really only the Storm Bolt, Wailing Arrow. There's not much in the way of stuns, but that lockdown, like the Root from Arthas, that could have a huge impact. You catch Li Ming with one of those, she's not getting away. The orb is not going to do anything to save Thrall, though. He gets catapulted over towards the enemy's side at the worst possible time because this bottom temple is going to be here.
This is that element of game sense that Vox has over their opponents. I think they knew that what the timing for the Bruisers was. They could see Nice was off the map. They predicted they would beat Bruisers, and they managed to catch Thrall on the rotation, get him picked off, and as a result, Nice is not gonna have that Bruiser pressure in the top lane that they really, really wanted to have before this temple phase started. And with the rotation, Daihu's gonna be able to get on the temple before Thrall reses, and they're gonna get some of these shots for free.
Thrall is up thanks to these shortened death timers, makes his way down there. Condemn goes out on Hosty at half health. He's going to back away. Dwarf Toss is going to help Zeus get out of there as well. The party's over. Daihu's going to have to head out of there with the rest of his teammates backing up. He gets out in time without getting bursted down. And we've seen the poke potential that Nice has had. They able to pretty much force Vox and Nihili walk into the lines. Then you're going to see a ton of damage go out on Legend. Thrall gets ripped up again. Nicely done by Vox and Nihili so far.
Yeah, and they made the mistake of focusing Daihu there. It's incredibly hard to kill an Arthas through Icebound Fortitude. That got popped immediately, that level 7 talent saving him, as well as healing himself with his Q. If Arthas gets focused, he's like, oh yeah, this is good. We can deal with this, because you're going to deal more damage to the enemy team than they're dealing to you in almost every circumstance. Except for, maybe Tychus can change that equation a little bit, but Tychus died. So that was not a factor.
Hey, it's going to be tough for him to do damage if he's waiting to respawn right now. Level 10 advantage in favor of Vox and Nihili. Yoda feeling emboldened by that. It's going to go ahead and Feral Lunge into the wall. Zeus on the flank gets the Tamer Strike. Nicely done by Alhaim. That could have turned into a whole thing. Taking out this middle well could have implications the next time the temple shows up in the middle part of the map. Level 10 is here now for Nice. They could definitely look to try to do something here now.
Yeah, we do see pretty standard talents picked up across the board. Wave of Force, Sunder, Draken Laser Drill, Aegis, and Blessed Shield. No big surprises so far, talent choice-wise. But just Sylvanas just destroying the map. This is what Sylvanas does on this map. You are ahead in the rotation, even by a little bit. You can... Oh, the Sunder and the Tainment Strike follow-up. Yoda gets isolated. Is going to go down. Li Ming gets counter-killed, however, so the reset's not going to be a factor. At this point, Hosty is trying to skip his way out, but he dies. He goes down, and that ends up being a 2-4-1. A slight overcommitted by Vox. I had too much faith in their Sylvanas' ability to let them fight under forts, and that Sunder perfectly timed to split and secure that kill. And Li Ming went a little too deep, but other than that, that was textbook.
Yeah, I mean, they rotated up there the hard way. Ends up getting the kill on Hosty. Cost some Li Ming in the process, though. Definitely should put Vox Nihili on notice. You can get value out of Sylvanas by locking down her structures, but you got to keep an eye on that mini-map. But also, Nice... I wasn't expecting Li Ming to get blown up that quick, I can tell you that, but we have some more action in the top lane. The Tamer Strike misses Zeus. We did try to Dwarf Toss in there to see if they can get some kind of advantage on Legend. Bruiser camps picked up for both teams, landed on the right side of the map now. Daihu, we got all hands on deck. Good amount of heroics. Ancestral healings here. Might have to get used on Zeus right now. He gets stunned. Can they get it in time? It's late. Merlin is going to get blown away. You can guarantee Nice is going to try to get an advantage off of this.
And that's the effect of that Dwarf Toss nerf a little while back. He got condemned during toss. He should have been able to get away. Hosty gets caught as well. Ancestral does land this time to disengage Root from Daihu, rooting 3 people in the choke. But Sylvanas ends up going down, tries to Haunting Wave out, gets caught anyway. And that'll end up being 2 free kills for Nice and dominance in the temple base. They're still significantly behind on structures, but now they're ahead in experience. And if you're, this is something we don't talk about very often because it doesn't only happen in this situation. But if you're ahead on experience but behind on structures, the structures you haven't killed yet are just like little experience banks that you can go tap into anytime you win a team fight and end up even further ahead.
It's definitely playing a factor here. Impressive fight by Nice to come away with a couple of kills there and show, hey, like, hey, don't think you're gonna come away with this too easily. 4 takedowns to 5 now in favor of Nice. Some shots were stolen off the bottom temple before the rotation from Nice is going to encourage the members of Vox Nihili to leave. LZ Gamer looking to apply pressure to Zeus, and look at that damage melt off of his health. You're going to have Yoda on the flank, jumping on LZ Gamer. Poison damage is a whole thing. He's trying to use that's the stuff to keep himself alive long enough to get the kill on Rhaegar. That is huge.
In the rhythm stacks being a huge factor there. He could just stand there and attack for so long, shrug it off also as well, keeping him alive. And Astrobreath has to pop unstoppable just to not die of the Arthas. Lunara ends up going down. The leaning resets are going to start to happen. Astrobreath is so low. Aegis comes down. Elheim rotates just in time. And go with the... No, with the Hunting Wave does get out. And it's worth noting, Goat did pick up Spell Shield at level 13. It's not a talent we see very often for Lunara, but against Li Ming, when you're getting collapsed on like this, it's a mandatory talent. It's a small adaptation that Goat made that helped him survive that fight.
Did you see Psykook almost get the kill on Sylvanas with that orb? My eyes would have jumped out of my skull if I was on the retreat part of that. 15-14 advantage currently slanting in favor of Nice. They've definitely managed to rally back, get ahead in experience and takedowns. Goat and Die are going to go ahead and clear out this bottom siege camp. Bottom right already picked up by Nice. Wisp goes across, finds LC Gamer and the crew. Zeus waiting on the rotation to see if this top fort's going to be a target, but he has not been able to sustain himself for very long on Murder in this game. That might end up backfiring.
All those fights were pre-13 though. Now that we have healing static picked up, the equation could change quite a bit, but against a Tychus, it's just always so difficult. We first saw Tychus drafted as a hard counter to Murden in the Korean meta, and he's stayed that way. Every time a Korean team picks up Murden, they either take or ban Tychus at this point in the game.
I mean, it's a strategy that's paid off. Level 16 is about here for Nice. They'll have a small window, but serviceable, where they could press the tier advantage. Nobody's tried to throw in the boss just yet. I'm wondering when that's going to become an element. Zeus mounts up, finds LZ Gamer and Elheim rotating up. Daihu's the target by Legend, who is able to get back behind the fort that's now down. And with all 5 members of Nice here, we might see a collapse.
And this is what I was talking about. They get 16 first because they were behind in structures, but they were ahead in experience after those team fights. They managed to go get those structures as soon as they could push in. And now they get even further ahead in experience as a result of it. 16 picked up. We also see Reservoir of Hope picked up for Ariel, so she's going to try and go for that massive heal constantly on her whole team. And it's going to be very difficult with no burst damage on Vox to deal with that.
One thing that kind of surprises me, I had assumed that Lunara would have gone for Leaping Strike to address that burst problem. Thornwood Vines is a beast. It can do a lot of damage, but they really need to make whatever damage they apply stick with an exclamation point if they're going to try to win some of these team fights.
Oh, and we see a synergy that we don't often see picked up. Overwhelming Affliction picked up at level 16 for Sylvanas over that Cold Embrace. Gives a stacking slow to combo with Lunara's 13 talent unfair advantage, and that's what we're going to see. We're going to see this combination grind out these fights, and the objective is to make it so that Ariel cannot keep up with the level of damage that's going to be coming out with the combination of the slow and unfair advantage. We'll have to see how that works out for them, though. Lunara's scaling in the late game can be very terrifying.
We'll see. I mean, the action's starting to kick off here as LZ Gamer catches a Stormbolt, Astrobroth at half health with some poison for effect. LZ Gamer steps out front, finds out what it's like. Elheim's going to go ahead and heal the members up. Reservoir Hope stands to get some value as this continues to press on. The stun baits out the Avatar. The Ancestral Healing lands this time. Crystal Age is going to keep one of the members alive. Daihu on the ropes. Who's going to go down here first? This is insane.
Oh, that ends up being a 3-for-2. Elheim almost going to die to poison. Yoda is going to get out with that Wolf Run at level 1, but Toasty is not. The Tainment Strike misses, but look at these health bars. Look at how much the poison damage is doing when the targets are slowed. It's like a quarter. It's a quarter of Li Ming's health bar with 1 stack of the poison on her when she's slowed. And as soon as the slow goes away, it does drop a little bit, but if they could just a little bit, if this was 3 more levels, if Lunara had a little bit more scaling, that fight would have gone in Vox Nihili's favor. They just need to not fall far behind here. If they lose a keep and the pressure continues to mount, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. But if they can stay even to level 20, level 21, they'll get that. They're going to be able to take those team fights. That's how close that was.
It was dead close, but that's the absolute worst situation you want to be in when you're going up against Li Ming. Once that first kill went in, Li Ming could have effectively rolled their forehead on the keyboard and just threw out orbs until everybody died. Like, I mean, that's pretty much what happened.
It is pretty close to what happened, and we have seen a little bit of value out of Tremblant in the early game, but I wonder if she would have been better served by going Dominance at 4. She didn't die that game, but she would have been able to play that fight, but she could have played even more aggressively and soaked more damage for her team with that talent. We'll have to see. Dominance did get a lot of early game value. It's a big reason why they're ahead, so it's a hard call to make. And Vox invading here, they're trying to force a fight, even talent tiers, because they know what Nice is trying to do here. Nice is trying to be like, oh, we're this close to 20? Why don't we soak 20 and then have a fight? That sounds like a good idea. We'll just take a rain check. They do lose the siege as a result, but Nice not going to make the mistake of fighting when they're ahead and they can soak 20 and then force an uneven fight.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, they've been enjoying these even tier fights, so why not wait to get up a talent advantage? That could probably work out in their favor as well. You're going to have the Bruiser Camp get picked up by Nice, going to start making its way across the top part of the map. Goat, Yoda rotating down towards mid with the rest of the members. The chase is on for Astrobroth, uses the early Iron Skin, Draken Laser goes down, effectively body blocking Daihu, some value there. The root goes in, stun, stasis. You're going to have Crystal Laser get used early. Have you seen Lunara? Lunara gets deleted off of the map. Ancestral Healing actually lands on Zeus, who's already using Avatar, leaving Daihu out to dry. Can the orbs secure the kill on him with the Calamity? That answer's a yes.
And this is in some cases the problem with Arthas. Once Army of the Dead has been popped, once he's healed himself with his Q, and Iceman Fortitude down, his survivability drops dramatically. He was chunked out so hard by Tychus at the beginning of that fight. 20 now picked up. And Sizzling Attacks picked up for Tychus. Even more percentage damage constantly going to be available to him. Psychic walking into the stun from the boss. Probably didn't mean to do that, but this boss is going to easily guarantee a keep. I think if they push it, they opt to just let it go on its own. They're going to go and make sure they get these temples. Very nice play from Vox Nihili. By stealing these shots, they force Nice to rotate instead of pushing with the boss, which means that they're going to get a few free shots and then disengage safely. Gets them a little bit of caught up in the race to 20, but they're going to have to make something happen here very soon in order to not just get closed out of this game.
And I'm honestly not sure what they could do, because a level 20 burst damage, or the lack thereof, has been a problem for Vox Nihili. So when you see talent pickups like Shield of Hope, which is going to give all near allied heroes 50% damage off, and Indestructible, like, it's going to be hard for them to get kills.
It is indeed. Vox looking out here, they do manage to push the boss down. There's not enough shots at either temple to actually get a keep. So no catapult pressure on their lanes just yet. That's actually something they desperately needed. They can get 20 now and force a fight where they're not going to have to worry about their lanes exclusively. Sunder does come down here on Goat. Yo, they get the pick off right there, Detainment Strike into the wall, and now they're going to be able to push as 5 and guarantee this keep. They won't be able to end the game off this, but this catapult pressure is going to be something that Vox has to deal with for the rest of the game, and they're going to struggle with it because of the strong rotations from Nice and how dangerous any overextension has been for them.
Yeah, that Detainment Strike was pretty rough on Goat. Gives him a whole minute to think about what he's done. The top keep already getting taken down. It's effectively going to put like an ankle locator on the heels of Vox Nihili, because every time they venture across the map, they're going to have to come home sooner or later to deal with the catapults. They're going to be barreling down on their core. Definitely is going to limit their options. Siege camps are available. Level 20 here is now available for Vox Nihili. Sylvanas is going to have Bolt of the Storm. She could have used that a minute ago. Hardened Shield, Galloping Gate for some more mobility, Anti-Magic Shell, which stands to counter out a lot of what Li Ming brings to the table, and Storm Shield.
Not just Li Ming, Tychus' trait counts as ability damage, so as soon as Tychus pops his trait and focuses Arthas, Anti-Magic Shield goes up, he'll actually get healed for more damage than Tychus is doing to him with just the base auto attack, because the trait damage counts as ability damage. That's going to be a huge factor in these late game fights.
The Ancestral Healing and Avatar have to get used before this even really kicks off. A nice Wailing Arrow shutting up the members of Nice for a long time. Almost gives Vox Nihili the first kill, and they get it on Li Ming, caught forward after everyone else has to retreat. Chase is on. You're going to see the stun, the root. Elheim doing everything they can to keep themselves alive. Not going to be enough. You're going to see Aro get taken out. LZ Gamer's the target. Sylvanas gets taken off on the back end of this. But this is a team fight Vox Nihili is glad to take.
And this is the first team fight where Daihun has ended at full health. Again, that anti-magic shell doing so much work against Tychus' trade, against the Li Ming. And that might have been what they were waiting for, but they don't feel confident in ending the game. They're just going to go for the towers. They don't want to go to core, but Siege Giants in the bottom lane pushing in are eventually going to get that bottom keep. We do see Hate Hosty backing to deal with it. And Legend trying to 1v1 Yoda, but Yoda is not going to let that happen. Daihu comes in. Yoda might actually go... No, he does get away. And a little bit of an overextension there. Thrall did not need to go down there, but the staggered death timers in the late game can be a death sentence.
I would give a shout out to Heavy Impact, level 16 talent that Murden picked up. That stone on Thrall, I think, might have been a difference maker between Rhaegar getting away or not. Super Mario Murden jumping on the face of Thrall, closing out yet another kill. It's now 12-15. Vox Nihili showing signs of life, battling back into this game.
Indeed, they are, but they don't have a keep down yet. They don't have a keep down. If they get wiped one more time, and so far the majority of these team fights have gone in Nice's favor, except for that last one. If they get wiped one more time, Nice can actually end. Whereas if Fox, they get 2 or 3 kills, they can't just go core, because they're gonna have to go through those keeps as well. Oh, they do actually get 2 keeps. The shot math worked out perfectly, and that's huge for them. The lanes are now uneven in their favor for once.
They've really been able to turn this thing around, man. I mean, the boss is going to be up in 20 seconds. I feel like that's going to be the deciding angle. We'll see if that plays out. You're going to have Vox Nihili staying in a tight-knit unit, as they should. Clearing out bot lane, make sure the siege camp doesn't make it too far across. Catapults in the top lane should negate each other. Bruiser camp's going to have a thing or two to say about that, though. Both these teams just kind of posturing, waiting for their opportunity to strike. Because like you said, whoever loses the next team fight, that's the game.
Yeah, and we do see Hosty doing quite a lot of work with his Wisp, sharking around, looking for where they are, making sure they don't get caught on rotation. Zeus as well, same thing. In the rhythm type stacks for Tychus, up to 3.6 seconds. That's more than double the duration of his trait normally. And Elheim, actually, I believe at 9 stacks of Reservoir of Hope, so healing for 19, almost 2k healing per W now, a full W. That's
insane. Siege Camp picked up, and it looks like you're going to have Nice kicking things off. They're going for the boss. Sylvanas is in the top lane. So if Vox Nihili does even try to really rotate on this, you're going to be down one of their huge tools in Wailing Arrow. Boss is at 25% and falling. Here we go. Stormbolt goes in. Crystal Aegis has to get used earlier on in this team fight. You're gonna this one's deciding the game one way or the other, Cavalier. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, the Wailing Arrow to deny the Sunder, but no, Johanna gets onto the point. Sunder doesn't quite get... No, they get it! They get the boss! They get the boss off of that Sunder, and if they don't win... If Vox doesn't win this team fight right now and go forward, they're going to lose the game, because the boss can just end. It's a 22-minute boss in an empty lane with Siege pushing, but they lost 2 members. Arthas did not pop that anti-magic shell at the right time. Sylvanas overextended, trying to get on the point, goes down, and Laser doing so much work in the background, and that will be the game. That will be the game for Nice. There's no way Vox comes back. That will be our first 1-1 of the day, I believe, in the entire tournament for today on either side of the bracket. And we're going to go to a game 3.
No, this was game 1, right?
This was game 1? Oh, yeah, my God. This is
game 1. So this is the first loss that Vox Nihili's, quote, enjoying, unquote. So if they do rally back, it would be the first 1-1 that we've seen. Wow. Like I said going into this, Nice knows how to play. These cats can ball.
that was incredible. I've been casting box all day. For some reason, I thought that was the second game of the second set, game of the set, but it was the first game. Nice opening up strong. Then, if we see another, like if the trend continues and it's all 2-0 and Vox gets knocked out, Nice is going to be a team to watch.
I mean, like I said, Vox Nihili was doing interviews at Burbank because they were beating high tier teams. So if Nice is able to take a set off of them, knock them out of the Bloodlust Open qualifier, people to watch. people to watch. But we're gonna see how this plays out. I forget what the next map is gonna be. I need to scroll up and try to get my. It is gonna be Infernal Shrines. I think I'm getting invited to the lobby. About to find out. It's gonna be Tomb of the Spider Queen. Okay. Daius as the draft link. I'm going to go ahead and get you that. So we are having no break in between these games, and that's the way I like it personally. I'm sure Vox Nihili's ready to get back, force this game 3 out. That's a big deal. So I got you the draft link. I'm gonna go ahead and update this because I'm good at this. Because high production, low value, everything else, capital. These are some high stakes, man. Vox Nihili. I said at the beginning of the game, I don't know how Nice's sets have gone this afternoon. But Vox Nihili they haven't really had to break a sweat all afternoon. Like that first set, they were effectively asleep at the wheel and walked through that one. Make North America Great Again gave them some eyebrow raising moments, but it still ends up being a 2-0. It was just kind of like we lost, but we lost a little less. It wasn't like, we really put the screws to them. So maybe Vox Nihili just felt a little lax walking into this. But you got the likes of LZ Gamer, Elhaim, like, this is a team. This is a team. I can't wait to see how this plays out, man.
Myself as well. I'm very excited, actually. And Nice surprised me with how strong that draft was. Vox was very much trying with that last pick Sylvanas to just get ahead on the map, get ahead on structures, and grind the map out. But Nice didn't let them get away with that. They forced those team fights once they had the advantage, and yeah, just I don't even know what to say. I feel like everyone is a little bit surprised with that result, and we're gonna have to see how it continues to work out.
Folks are rolling into the lobby here. Got the draft links out. Once these teams are ready, I will need to update. Thank God Vox Nihili stays on the left side of the map, making my life easy. I appreciate that. Game 1 in the books. Going over to Nice. With an exclamation point, I'd point out. Tomb of the Spider Queen is a different beast, though. This is a map, in my opinion, that lends itself to more sharp rotations on account that the lanes are a lot closer together. Team fighting is more of a thing. There isn't really a destination of sorts like there is for Sky Temple. Like, there's 2 turn-ins, but they are just always a constant. It's not like, hey, there's a temple down in the bot lane, everybody has to congregate and rotate down here. So it offers some different elements. The team fighting ability of Nice definitely won them the day, I feel. And I'm wondering if that's going to play in the mind of Vox Nihili as far as how this draft goes, because we saw an oddball draft the first time.
Yeah, we did a little bit, and this is a very different map. Team of Spider Queen is much more focused on wave clear, much more focused on the macro of the map. It's one of the few maps where if you play defensively but have good wave clear, you can actually win the map without ever really taking a full 5-on-5 team fight in some cases, depending on how you structure your rotations. It's not quite as bad as BHB in that regard, everyone's favorite map, Black Arts, but it is a map where macro can carry the day, and Nice has some interesting pickups in that regard based on the drafts we saw yesterday from them. We'll have to see what they end up prioritizing. If Zag makes it through the draft again on Tomb, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I mean, Tomb of the Spider Queen, like, you sign a contract when you install Heroes of the Storm to ban out Zagara in this situation, right? In this current meta. I mean, I think even after Tuesday on this map in particular, you're like, sorry, man, I can't let Zagara through. What do I look like? That's not gonna happen. We'll see, though. I mean, all my guesses effectively went out the window during that last draft. Nice will have first ban, first pick privileges. So they could theoretically net themselves the bug. I'd imagine they would look to ban Sylvanas, Zool, or Kerrigan first. Put Vox Nihili in an interesting spot of like, do we ban out Zagar? Do we give him one of these other top tier heroes? We're gonna see though, because here's the draft. And nice. Hovering the Great. Do they not have a Zagara player? Like you asked that before. Like
maybe
okay.
they don't. Maybe they don't have a Zagara player.
Could be. I mean, I don't know what else they do ban out Zagara first. Wow. Because, I mean, even if you aren't looking to play Zagara, if you ban someone else, it is a 90% certainty that Zagara will get banned out. Maybe that's what happened last time and bluffs were called and Zagara was just able to roll through the draft like that. But it's a curveball for me, man.
Li Ming banned out by Vox Nihili. I guess they didn't want to deal with that again. That's a respect ban because this is not Li Ming's strongest map, but Nice did a lot of work. Oh, no, Vox. Vox is going to take Lunara here to deny the synergy with Ariel that we've seen time and time again. And then Nice is going to lock in Cho'Gall. Calling it right now. Nice is going to take Cho'Gall, their second and third picks.
That would be brazen. I mean, there would still be a good amount of counters to the two-headed ogre, but it would work. And yeah, the Li Ming ban is definitely a note of respect. But even going up against Make North America Great Again, I would again go back to Aloe specifically. He was lighting him up with Li Ming. I think it's just a potential hole in how they position for team fights. Maybe they're just looking to go all in on someone. They don't expect that kind of burst damage on the flank, but they would be well served to keep Li Ming out of the equation.
Nice is teasing us. We know it's a threat. I wonder if Vox Nihili is going to ban it out here. I know they want it. I can tell they want it. But the question is they didn't want to go for it this early. Sylvanas and Johanna picked up instead. That gives them a lot of wave clear. Ariel Johanna, something we've seen Red Team do a lot yesterday on multiple maps, but especially in Tomb of the Spider Queen. It's quite strong. Zool being banned out for Vox Nihili. They don't care. They're like, nah, they're not going to go Cho'Gall. They're not going to do it. It's not that big a threat. But I'm forced to disagree with that because I saw a game earlier where it did a lot of work.
I saw that Solid Jake just hosted us. Welcome. You are in at the right time because this has been an amazing set so far between Nice and Vox Nihili. Nice gave Vox Nihili the first loss of the day, so they are up 1-0. If they're able to pull out a win here on Tomb of the Spider Queen, they qualify for the big-time event next week for Bloodlust. You're going to see the Zool ban go out. Morales?
Morales has been coming back into the meta. It's one of those things. There's certain heroes that punish Morales picks. Lunara with her spread damage, and Kael'thas, but Kael'thas is kind of out of the meta. So by banning out Morales, they're increasing the odds they can actually lock someone down and kill them. It's very difficult to kill someone through Morales' safeguard plus her Q.
We might have a treat here on our hands, Cavalier.
Vox Nihili is spending a lot of time thinking about these next picks. They have to acknowledge that Cho'Gall's an option, even if they don't think it's a good idea. Even if they don't respect it, they have to think, okay, well, if they go Cho'Gall, what do we pick up now and what do we save? They're going to lock in the Rhaegar. Rhaegar actually has a significant percent damage talent at 16. It's 5% per lunge on his wolf form.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a good option. He's just generically good on this map as well, and with their calm. So even if they don't go Cho'Gall, he'll fit regardless. And the question is going to be: do they pick up their tank now and have Tychus as an option, or do they pick up Tychus now, or they pick up their range now and opt to be able to have Leoric?
I mean, I have an alternate fan theory that Vox Nihili might not be expecting Cho'Gall. We are. It makes sense. But if you ban out Zool, Like, what does that really say in the second ban phase? If they do go for Cho'Gall, Zul's not going to matter. No other heroes going to matter. And Zul wouldn't even have fit in their composition anyway, I feel. Like, it wouldn't have been a very strong choice for Nice. So, I don't know. I didn't know where the draft was going last time. But, okay. So, with the Leoric pickup, they are anticipating Cho'Gall. I stand correct.
They're acknowledging the possibility, but this is the nice thing about Ariel. She's so strong with so many different synergies that Leoric's become like, oh, you're picking a slightly. I mean, Leoric has wave clear, so he's never going to be bad on Tomb. But you picked up Leoric, that would have been good against Cho'Gall. But we're going to swap it up. We're going to go Brightwing so that Ariel has some, breathing room in terms of building up her hope. And we're just going to pick up Tychus. And again, you didn't seem to deal with our Tychus very well last game. Let's see how you deal with it now.
Maybe this was all a ruse by Nice. Think about it. Like, you take these heroes up front and you're like, all right, we're going to get Ariel out of the gate. We got Sylvanas and Johanna. Cool. We have no intention of going Cho'Gall, but we're going to show like we are. So then when you try to take these early counter picks in Leoric and then we switch up and show you, oh, we're going to go for like the immortal pairing of Ariel Brightwing, you're not in much of a position to do much about it.
No, you are not. Falstad picked up as a last pick for Vox. That is going to give them Gust Entomb. It's an old school combo we haven't seen for quite a while. But you entomb someone, you gust away the support. Entire team focuses the entomb target. You're guaranteed that kill. This is going to be a really interesting game. Both teams have very comparable wave clear. Vox Nihili has a slightly stronger soul in that thrall. But it's possible Nice has a slightly stronger 4-man rotation if they can keep the Johanna from getting chunked by Drain Hope. But Johanna not having a lot of mobility, it's always going to be a little bit of a difficult thing to do. So there's some interesting options for both teams, some interesting counterplay, and it's going to come a lot down to execution. But going by last game, Nice might have a little bit better execution than Vox.
Based off the merits of last game, I like Nice's composition more. I just do. Vox Nihili struggled with closing out kills in the first game. And granted, they have some more burst options, arguably, if they go for Mage Stat and Thrall can kind of do it to you. But Ariel Brightwing is a beast. An absolute beast to consider. Oh, they didn't have everybody in the lobby anyway. But, Cavalier, we have a treat, man. I do believe that Bro Sidon will be on their way over to handle the camera angle for us. So that'd be neat.
Ooh.
So I'm trying to add him to the mix.
I admit, it's this casting with Halloran, casting on Halloran's channel. This is the first time I haven't had to do camera work and look at everything else. It's a lot easier, ladies and gentlemen, to cast games when you have an observer. So the fact that Halloran and I are both going to have an observer, and we don't have to, we don't have to have one of us doing the camera work, is going to be a big difference for us. That is going to be awesome,
dude. I love when I'm not operating the camera. I mean, I enjoy it, but it's like it's processing power. It takes a few cycles out of you.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Once we get him in here, we are going to have a good time for sure. Yeah, man, I'm concerned for Vox Nihili here. As far from just a composition standpoint, Nice showed the ability to have staying power. Now, one thing, they don't have Li Ming this time, because like I said, in those close team fights, like everybody was low on health. Once that first kill came in, it was like, all right, time to start slapping my face on this keyboard. I win. But they're not gonna have that option this time.
So we gotta talk about this draft again. This is so clever. Obviously, Nice does have a Zagara player. They have LZ Gamer. He's one of the best Zagara players in NA. But the cleverness of the draft, they guaranteed themselves Ariel, because Vox Nihili, even if they didn't ban Zag and they let it go through, Nice would have had to pick up Zagara if they was let through, I think, especially on Tomb. But banning Zag, they guaranteed themselves the Ariel, who's considered so strong right now, and they dictated the pace of the draft by having so many threats of what can synergize with Ariel. It was just so incredibly clever. And if they're that far ahead in thinking against their opponents, I think they're going to be in good shape. I think they're going to be in good shape.
I do think so. But again, for those of you who are coming over here from Solid Jake channel, my name is Albert Haloran Haley III. I'm joined by the Socrates of Heroes of the Storm, Justin Cavalier Guest, Foster, the man himself. We have been enjoying our time here all afternoon, all weekend, all week, you and me. We've casted every day of the week, quite literally. The winner of this set goes on to the finals. They qualify for Bloodlust. So their lives will continue, playing for that $9,000 plus prize pool. We got Poseidon, we got him in here.
Poseidon. Oh, that's an awesome name.
You like that?
It's an awesome name.
We're loading in the game now. Now I'm thinking about it. What's the command to like actually follow his camera? I was trying to whisper him, but we started loading the game, and I was like, oh.
Following a player's camera is 1 through 10, but I don't know what the command is to follow an ob's camera.
We're about to find out. Because in theory, you could have been doing that for me the whole time. Rip.
Could have been. Actually, glad we didn't think of that before.
All right. Well, it's a net positive for you. No big deal. Big deal or difference there. I don't know how to do it.
Well, we'll figure it out. We can introduce the teams in the interim.
Yeah, over on the left side, we do have Vox Nihili. You're going to have Goat playing Lunara. Never trust the big button and smile. That girl is poison. Darius playing Leoric. Hosties on Rhaegar. Zeus is on Thrall. Yoda playing at Falstad.
And for Nice on the right side, we do have LZ Gamer on Brightwing, Legend on Tychus, Elhaim on Ariel, Sekuk on Sylvanas, and Asterbrath on Johanna.
Yeah, I was going to try to see if I can get a peek at that. Not meant to be. All 5 members hanging out here mid, seeing if they can do what they do best.
We actually see a cute little strat that used to be very common in NA here. Apparently Guts can do some game. But meanwhile, the cute little strat, we do see Nice body blocking their minion wave. This guarantees that their minion wave gets to the lane a little bit after, which means that the initial 5v5 fight that sometimes happens in the mid will happen on their side of the map and not in the neutral territory.
Well, while Goat DCs, this gives me a time to run to the Google or see if Poseidon himself can help us out there on that front. Because, yeah, I genuinely don't know. I've never had to do it before. The more you know. I don't know. I'm looking around. I don't see it. All right, I think it's O.
There you go.
He's like, I would need your audio. I've never had an observer before, so this is neat. Well, once Goat gets back in here. Oh, he usually sits in. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, we're back to business now. Goats rejoined the game. Can I hit the... All right. Wow. Look at this. Next level production value. All 5 members hanging out in the mid. See what kind of damage they can do. We're going to have Daihu land the W on Legend, who is going to be able to back away. Rotating up top. This is neat, man.
It is indeed. BDC Zeus and LC Gamer, Brightwing versus Thrall in the bottom lane. They're going to Brightwing be their solo laner, has that sustain, and with Dream Shot can actually be threatening in terms of the amount of damage they can pump out, assuming it doesn't get juked. And just going to do a strong 4-man rotation here. Legend starting to put some damage onto Dai, who almost goes down. And Tychus is just going to chunk Leoric all game long.
I mean, he's got to be concerned about that, and he's the only warrior they got on their team. If they manage to get the Leoric like that, it's all going to collapse on him. Definitely a point of concern. Legend waiting in the wings with the Burger King crown down in the bot lane. LZ Gamer finds himself the target, and the last shield static is going to be enough to secure the first takedown of the game.
And Yoda with the aggressive barrel in, they were surprised with the kill. Zeus with the root. Brightwing did not manage to juke it, but Seikook over the wall with the Haunting Wave picks up some of the gems that were lost, though they don't lose all of those bottom lane gems. And Seikook with the plays there. LZ Gamer is going to Z back in on top of Seikook, and then Seikook is going to be able to rotate back up. Very nice, clean rotations from Nice.
Aptly named, I would say. I mean, this is a crisp team. You're going to have a lot of action going on in the mid lane. Iron Skin used to absorb the brunt of the damage. Legend on the flank finds out that Lunar can do damage to them. 4-man rotation is tight from Nice. You're going to head up to the top lane. Apply pressure to Leoric. Finds himself in back again. He's okay.
Is indeed. And Legend, with this crown from Ariel, every time he pops his trait, just doing so much to give her so much hope. Yoda trying to get stacks, does get 2 off Seikook there. Goat going in, trying to just get the poke damage. They're trying to make it so that they're trading damage effectively in lane, which means that the other team will have to back a little bit more often, tap a little more often, be under a little bit more pressure, and they're managing to do it. Asterbreath getting so trunked out here does not have a lot of disengage options as Johanna, but they're just a little bit behind in terms of the wave clear. They're forced to split their rotation to keep up with the massive wave clear advantage that Nice actually has over them.
Sylvanas can do it for you, Johanna. We actually see Night Takes Pawn Johanna make their appearance for the day, interestingly enough. But level 5 on both sides. Both teams have the level 4 talents. Heart and Bones, Leoric's going to need that. In the top lane, you see a little bit of action from Goat. He is able to rotate around the side and get away. Could have been a thing there.
Arcane Flare picked up at level 4 for Brightwing. So far we're seeing the full Q build. This actually gives him a lot of poke on those altars that he can constantly interrupt as long as he's hitting with his Q. They can't actually turn anything in if Brightwing's doing it. He can do it from a relatively safe distance. And again, we're getting caught by the root, but it'll be fine this time. No one to rotate down to help assist with the kill. And Nice just, slowly, very, very slowly grinding out their lead, taking advantage of the fact that their comp is a little bit better at the laning phase than the Spider Queen.
And when you're playing at this high level, every notable difference counts. It's a big deal. Legend finds himself eating a bunch of damage. Hardened Bones is going to negate a lot of what Legend was doing. And the Q comes in from Yoda. Can he get the kill? The poison? Not going to be enough. He is going to be able to get out of there.
Elheim with the clutch last second heal. Legend is going to be forced to back, however, and that's a lot of the threat of their damage in lane. Astabrath, Seikook, and Elheim are going to have to play a little bit more passively for the moment. I say that as right as Johanna goes deep, trying to get a big condemn off, but Blue Webweaver is going to be turned in. Vox Nihili managing to force them out of lane. That small advantage of chunking out Legend so he had to back gave them the space they needed to turn in and get the first Webweavers on the map.
See what kind of damage they can do off of this. You're going to see some pressure. Zeus is down here in the bot lane. Looks like the majority of the action taking place in the top. See what kind of action we have. 3 members congregating around Asterbroth, getting more value out of that. Knights Takes Pawn setup. Going to be able to clear that out. For the most part, it looks like they've been able to make a reasonable stand. Less than average value to be had, I feel, out of this.
Maybe a little bit less than average, but we do see Thrall finally managing to push LZ Gamer in the bot lane. Do get the entire bottom wall. He's going to rotate to mid, and if they can get 2 full walls, or even a 1 wall, most of one, and all of the ammo from another, they're going to be in pretty good shape. We do see Yoda focusing on that a little bit more. Going to get most of mid wall, all of the ammo, and all of top wall. That's actually 3 full walls off the first Webweaver. That's not bad at all, considering up until that turn-in, they felt like they were being pressured quite a bit and felt a little behind overall.
I stand corrected. Vox Nihili able to establish themselves quite well. 1 takedown alone in this game. Very highly contested. Dayu has to use the E. Whoa, jumping on. The action going on. The chase continues. Elheim with low amount of health, but has the hope to do it. Manages to patch himself up a little bit along with the rest of his team. Zeus finds out the Brightwing can poke. Asterbroth almost got the turn in. Throw out a thing or two to say about that. Legend out front, seeing if he can put the screws to Goat. Get some poison first trouble. Daihu surrounded by a lot of red. You're going to see the Skeleton team get blown up. This could be an advantage for Nice.
Daihu going so deep for that, but you gotta remember that Detainment Strike, as soon as you're like past the RL, she can knock you into her team, and if she gets the stun as well, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Root on Asterbreath, but he's gonna be absolutely fine, even though he is eating a lot of poison damage. And they get the kill, but they are forced off, and Leoric comes back at full health and full mana, and they're not gonna get the turn in that they were desperately looking for to even out the lane situation.
Yeah, once you get the kill on Leoric, you're on a much shorter timer than normal, because even if he's not draining your soul with W, by virtue of him being there when he respawns, he's immediately back to business. So them not being able to snowball more kills in the net was definitely the difference maker in them being able to get their first turn in or not. LZ Gamer with 20 almost. Can he do it? He does. The false stack Q's not there in time. And with Sylvanas on your team, you could get value out of this, but not when you're facing a heroic tier disadvantage.
Yeah, level 10 picked up at like the worst possible time for Nice. Vox with that level 10 is going to have a defensive advantage pushing in, and their lanes are so pushed out that the Web Weavers are going to do nothing but deep push the lanes. Vox shouldn't let any structure damage happen here, actually. They even have Nature's Culling on Lunara, which is going to help a ton. It does apply to all non-heroes, including monsters, which the Web Weavers count as the map objectives, so she can clear those out very, very quickly. And they're just not going to get anything out of this first turn except Breathing Room, which sometimes Breathing Room is enough.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, Vox Nihili enjoys this. Anytime you can negate Sylvanas going across the map, blocking down your structures, and doing a whole bunch of damage is a win, but they're not done. They got their heroics now, so they're going to try to do whatever they can. Majority of action going on in the mid lane. They're going to get this middle wall without too much trouble. Daihu's trying to land the W on Leoric. I'm able to do that. Web Weaver taking out the top part of the map. The poke damage is real, though, on the side of Nice.
Indeed, and Thrall managing to throw out the Web Weaver in the top. The mid Web Weaver only gets the wall. The laser comes down, the zoning laser comes down, denying the disengage from Hosty, who was trying to go through that choke. Turns out that's not going to happen, but he does manage to get away. That is the benefit of that wolf form, just instant disengage. And bottom Web Weaver, the last Weaver, is going to go down, but they have a Sylvanas, and they're going to continue to try and get the support. Now, they do end up backing off. They don't want to get collapsed on from behind. They see that Leoric sharking around, looking for that Entomb potential. And are they gonna pop it? No, they end up just letting them go. Nice did back out just in time. Such good decision making, and they even end up getting the fort just from the minion pressure. Very nicely played by them. They got more out of that than they really should have, but Vox was a little bit slow on their rotations and just played so defensively that Nice's aggression did not go. So a huge Entomb happens, but Brightwing with the Emerald Wind forces the disengage, and no follow-up happens. That's just trading a heroic for heroic, essentially. And both teams have enough gems to turn in, so the next fight over turn-in is going to determine who gets the next turn-in. And right now, if Nice gets a turn-in with their lanes as pushed in as they are, they're going to get so much value.
We'll see. Psykook jumps forward with the Haunting Wave, baits out the Ancestral Healing. That's huge. Psykook is going to get some damage. The Sundering actually was interrupted. Goat's going to rotate down here, apply pressure to Johanna. Legend's going to try to zone out Daihu for the moment. Asterbroth leading a charge, but the Sundering's back, kids. You're going to see Elhaim on the ropes, finding out what it's like to eat damage from Falstad. Gets Mighty Gust into the corner. Crystal Aegis used on themselves. Can they follow up? The heal is there, patching everybody up. Leoric gets popped.
Vox was so aggressively chasing those kills that they got rotated on. Psykook and Legend soloed or 2v1'd Daihu. Daihu was just trying to zone them out to make sure that his team could get those kills. It ended up going against them, and as a result of that, they are gonna be able to get this turn in. 2 turn-ins in a row for Nice is gonna put so much pressure on all the lanes, especially with that Sylvanas. You gotta wonder what lane they're going to prioritize. They could opt to go top just because it is the boss lane and it can end up being the most important lane on the map. And it looks like they're going to do. We see them starting to rotate up in that direction. They're going to get it pushed in, and this could be a huge turning point for Nice in terms of getting ahead in this game.
We'll see, man. I'm crediting Nice for this draft. I do think that they baited out the Leoric pick with the anticipation of Cho'Gall, and it's paid off for them because Leoric has not been able to establish himself as a strong front line. Whenever he sticks his face out there, Legend's been burning him down. He's been more on the retreat. And heroes like Lunara and Falstad are not who you want out there taking shots on the chin. And I think that's why we're looking at this situation right now.
Exactly. And this comes back to that draft. The Trogal threat was so real they felt forced into drafting Leoric, so they would have another slot to respond if they needed to in the draft. But the bait from Nice ended up being so strong that Leoric got picked up, and it hasn't done anything so far this game.
The one Entomb called an Emerald Wind. Sylvanas said, see ya. Haunting waved over it. Mighty Gust, though, gonna isolate Legend on the other end of the Entomb. Brightwing eating a bunch of damage, but Arl and Brightwing are forever. You're gonna see Leoric get taken down first again. Zeus catches the Ancestral Healing. He's back to business, trying to put the screws to Legend. Not gonna be there. If you're not able to get that initial burst and close out a kill, going up against Arl and Brightwing, you pretty much have to back away.
Absolutely, and they can recover so fast. Mystified was picked up at level 7 for Brightwing to synergize with that Dream Shot. We actually saw her get a full reset on her Q, which gave her, multiple cooldowns on her trait, and she actually got like 3 or 4 trait procs off in the space of 7 or 8 seconds right there, topping her team off so well. The heal from Ariel as well came down. It's just once you don't kill them, you can't kill them. It kind of sounds kind of funny, but you need to burst them down instantly. And they didn't draft a burst team. Lunara's not a burst hero. They went for Thornwood over Leaping Strike. Falstad, has burst from Boomerang, but that's their burst. Falstad is all their burst, so if Falstad can't close out a kill, they're not going to win. Gust into the corner, but being grouped up helps them recover in terms of damage. Again, because of the area of effect heals, they're so strong. LZ Gamer with the Emerald Wind for the disengage, and they're just going to back off. If they're forced to heart, they won't be able to just deny the turn in. Astropath is very low on mana. They're trying to keep an eye on this. They don't want to let them turn in for free, but they might not have a choice. They are just a little bit out of resources. Zeus gets his turned in. Hosty is trying, does get stopped, and LZ Gamer back with the Z coming in, helping out his team, and they're going to deny the turn in. They managed to push them off the point.
I mean, how do you establish any kind of aggression here with this composition? Your best bet is Entomb, which is on cooldown, and even then, they haven't gotten much value out of it. You're going to have Emerald Wind down, though. Wailing Arrow is available. LZ Gamer rotates up, catches the Sundering, but Crystal Age is double support, getting value yet again. Ancestral Healing arguably going on to the wrong target. You're going to see Lunara get blown away with the counter potential burst damage. Mighty Gust securing the disengage, but that's all they've been able to do. They show up, they're like, hey, we want to try to fight. Oh, wait, we didn't get a kill. You guys are immortal, apparently. We should go.
I almost feel like that was a bait. The Aegis came down, everyone collapsed. I'm like, yeah, we can finish off a target. Finally, we can kill someone. The Wailing Arrow for the follow-up as the Aegis popped. Because they were all grouped around it. They got the massive silence. And Leoric actually died to the damage over time from Sylvanas' W. So you have a Lunara, on your team, but you're the team that's dying to damage over time. That's got to feel a little bit bad. It's got to feel a little bit bad. And another turn-in, 3 turn-ins in a row now for Nice.
To Vox Nihili's credit, they've held up reasonably well to be going up against Sylvanas in this composition, but they just have not been able to establish an offensive front. It shows in the numbers, 5 takedowns to 1. This is going to be big, though. Level 16 was picked up by the members of Nice. You're going to see Pixie Dust, Cold Embrace. That added vulnerability is just going to put that much more of an exclamation point on this burst damage that Tychus and Sylvanas have been bringing to the table.
Indeed, and look at this. Look how far pushed their lanes, and we do see Falstad in the bot lane trying to make sure there's not pressure everywhere, trying to get them experience. They know they don't want to have a full fight down on talent here. They're playing defensive here. If they can finish off the Web Weaver without losing too much, and then hopefully get Soak 16 and then force a fight, they'll feel they feel confident that that's their best way of coming back into this game. But the rotation here from Nice, all going to the top lane. They're trying to get as much value out of the Sylvanas as they can. 15 to 17 right now. The Web Weavers are down, and they just back out. They know they're far enough ahead. They don't want to take any potential risks here. The aggressive flies from Falstad could somehow gust them into a bad situation. Anything like that. But no, I said they were playing conservative. I lied. They're just going to go big a boss. They're like, we're ahead. We're ahead. We don't mind taking risks. The laser comes down. They're just going to burn this boss as hard as possible. They want that keep. They want that lane pressure. And if Vox doesn't see this in time, as a free boss, they might be able to get turn in. They do get turn in. But the boss is going to get the keep, and then they'll be able to back off and defend turn. And the Haunting Wave aggressively from Seikyu finishes off Daihu again.
Full on Leorki. Daihu goes up there, takes that cursory glance in the bush, finds out that the members of Nice are, in fact, getting the boss, and they are taking his life yet again. You're going to have the blue web weavers picked up. That's nice, a little bit of counter aggression, but it might not matter if they lose this team fight handily enough. The members of Vox Nihili doing a good job burning down the boss. Members of Nice going to start backing away. They're like, all right, well, we're not going to just give you free structures. We don't want to throw the game just yet. We're just going to back away.
Yeah, indeed. But they don't end up getting the keep. I think losing some forts to get that keep would have been worth it just for the catapult pressure, but I think they mistimed it. I think they intended to get the keep. They thought the minion wave and the boss would finish it off, but enough damage coming out of that Nature's Culling from Lunar that it did not end up working out that way, and 16 has now been picked up for Vox, and they want to fight at this point. They want to try and take a fight. They have enough gems, I believe, for another turn-in, so they want to get a second turn-in and then force the fight so they can distract and their web weavers can continue to depush the lanes.
They want to fight, but I feel like they have to do it in a tiered manner. Emerald Wind is up. Crystal Aegis is up. Once they really try to go in and blow somebody up, you're going to have those defensive tools to keep them alive. You need to almost bait those out, back up, heal up again, and then go in while trying to preserve as many of your heroics as possible. No easy feat. But the way they've been approaching it just has not panned out. You're going to see the Polymorph go out on Goat, Asterbroth acting as a serviceable frontline. Yoda's going to get some poke damage on them thanks to LZ Gamer and Brightwing. Rotating up, you're going to have a lot more action. Daihu uses his E, presents himself as a viable target. Polymorph goes down. Do they blow the Ancestral Healing on Leoric? They do not. He's got Entomb though, so the best engaged tool they have is still available.
And Bouncy Dust, by the way, picked up at 16 for Brightwing, so even more mitigation for his entire team. Just this is the never die comp. It used to be Brightwing Tassadar, and now it's Brightwing Ariel. This is just the never ever die comp. They can keep everyone alive for so long. Only one kill on the board for Vox versus this comp, and it was the early game Brightwing pick where Brightwing was by herself. Ever since the team's been together as 5, Vox has not been able to kill anyone on Nice.
It's rough, man. I mean, Nice just gave themselves a huge advantage in this draft. 26 gems turned in, 53 on the side of Vox Nihili. If Zeus gets this in, this would be a set of web weavers for them. It is interrupted. You're going to see the rest of the members of Nice start to congregate up. Captain America throws in that Blessed Shield, interrupts it yet again. Uses the Condemn, but here we go. We're going to have the Entomb go down on LZ Gamer, who isn't even threatened, doesn't need to use Emerald Wind. You're going to see all kinds of follow-up. You're going to see Draken Laser go down. Start to zone out the members of Vox Nihili. And look at this. I mean, they're just poked out. They do not have the sustain to really mount an offensive here.
And they just can't. They just don't do enough damage to get through this massive thing. Maybe in the very late game, if Falsehead gets enough stacks, they'll be able to just burst someone out. They do finally get the turn in bot, however. Zeus was left alone long enough. He did have that option available. Ancestral comes down on the Yoda as well as the cleanse. He gets out of there. He just has to come down. The Gust to deny any potential saves, but no, not enough. Seku did take Will of the Forsaken at level 13. It did save him there, allow him with that run speed movement increase to get out. And such good, clever talent choices, understanding what the threats are, what can possibly take them out. And they've just been playing around Vox's comp all game long with their talent choices, with their positioning. Nice is on the ball with what they're doing.
I mean, if I'm on the side of Vox Nihili, I'm scratching my head. I genuinely am, because it's like, we're trying everything. We just do not seem to have the tools to get a single kill. It's been a low takedown game altogether, but oh no! In the mid lane, the burst damage is dead serious. You're going to see Thrall and Leoric pull Vanishing Axe. That's huge. Going to take a lot of the starch out of this Web Weaver push, I can tell you that, Cavalier.
Yeah, that feels really bad. Not all kills are created equal, and getting kills just as you're starting to push with your web weavers means you're not going to get the value. That's basically gems that you threw down and did absolutely nothing. You went to Vegas, put all your money on the roulette table, put it on black, it ended up red, and you're just like, oh well, I guess I'm leaving Vegas now. There's that. That was my bankroll.
They do manage to catch Brightwing in the rotation. Emerald Wind a hair late, netting them their second takedown of the game. I think they could try to press a numbers advantage, but with the Storm tier talents picked up, that would be dicey.
It would be. That was actually a critical kill though, because if this was 20 versus 18 with a full five in a full 5v5 situation, Nice would feel very justified in just pressuring the map, doing anything they wanted to do. Might even go for that aggressive boss call again. But with Brightwing dead, they're gonna have to be patient for the next 20 seconds, wait that out. And Vox understands that that's the decision that a careful team like Nice would make, and they just opt to go for boss. They're like, okay, we can't win this. We can't win these extended fights. We need some sort of pressure. We don't have turn in. We're not gonna have time to get turn in. We're gonna force boss.
You only YOLO once. Brightwing will be here. Nice Wailing Arrow getting some value. The stun goes down. The Ancestral Healing there in the nick of time. The counter engagement from the Sundering. This is going to be the deciding factor. Indestructible procs. You're going to see Thrall below. 2 members on the side of Vox Nihili taken out of the fight. The boss is picked up, but at what cost? When you ace, when you lose everybody on your team, you can have 3 bosses in this situation. The game is over.
That is, in fact, game. Huge pickup there by Tychus. He actually took focusing diodes, increasing the range of his laser, put it behind the wall, so it could not be gotten to. The best way to deal with lasers is to kill it, but they couldn't get the laser. It actually ended up chunking everyone out. It killed 3 heroes almost on its own, not counting the other factors. And that will be another 2-0. Nice. Taking it over Vox Nihili.
70% in falling. That's the ball game. We have seen nothing but 2-0s all afternoon, and that streak continues. You're going to see Nice able to beat out Vox Nihili and qualify for the big show next week for Bloodlust.